Hello friends, in this episode we have the latest and most interesting news from Poland. Polish patriots have made their mark both in Poland and in Germany. Next, we'll expose some ridiculous fakes in Zielona, Góra and cover the harsh but predictable ending of a drunken bachelor party. There are a lot of different news stories, of course. Some of them are related to Polish patriots, and we'll talk about how to protect yourself from bureaucratic chaos during the legalization process. We'll discuss everything now. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks to everyone who helps out. It only takes a moment. Your support means a lot. Give a like for aerodynamics. Now, let's get to it. There's a new scandal in Warsaw. Poland's news feeds are being rocked by a major story that has already reached the very top. A large-scale investigation is unfolding in Warsaw into the activities of a group of unknown individuals who, of course, call themselves Patriots. And what are they doing? Without any legal authority, they started conducting unauthorized searches and checking people's documents right in the area of the central station. The situation turned out to be so high-profile that the Minister of Internal Affairs, Mr. Marcin Karwinski, personally instructed the leadership of the capital's police to intervene immediately and put a firm stop to this unauthorized activity. The reason for such a swift reaction from the authorities was the video recordings that quickly spread across social media. The footage shows a group of young people in tactical gear and uniforms deliberately pulling people of foreign origin out of the crowd and interrogating them, blatantly pretending to be law enforcement. We saw something similar in Germany in 1934, friends, don't you think? In the comments under the video, users have already basically made fun of all these patriots, right? The audience is rightly joking that these are just typical costume clowns who have watched too many detective shows and decided to compensate for their total lack of authority in real life by buying camouflage at the nearest market. So, what's next? Next, they need to intimidate foreigners. All the problems are because of them, right? However, the Polish Ministry of Internal Affairs reacted to this performance seriously and said that in a state governed by the rule of law, there has never been and never will be any acceptance of civilians arbitrarily assuming the functions of law enforcement and intimidating people on the street. The Metropolitan Police Command is actively gathering evidence in order to promptly hand over the materials to the prosecutor's office. Fans of playing police were officially reminded about Article 227 of the Polish Criminal Code, which promises very real criminal consequences and a ticket behind bars for assuming the functions of an official and misleading citizens. Let's see how this case ends. But the case is high profile. Friends, in short, the civilian patrol, as I already said, reminds us, you heard it yourselves, that maybe I'm wrong, right? Alright friends, now let's take a minute for some useful information in the name of common sense. Because against the backdrop of such news, law-abiding migrants reasonably ask themselves, how can you avoid becoming a victim of something like this and properly understand the constantly complicating Polish laws? You often write to me in your questions that the process of getting documents is becoming more and more confusing and non-transparent. To go through this difficult process without unnecessary stress, my friends, I recommend a trusted project, the Immigrants Guide. These guys handle the matter intelligently and will address all your key questions professionally. A TSU card turnkey for just a small amount of money, and with my personal promo code Denis Lukyanov, the terms will be even more attractive for you. This already includes a full audit of your current status, error checking, and 100% support in the MOZ2 system. From submitting the application to finally receiving the coveted card in your hands. The second important point is family legalization. For those who are moving and legalizing with their loved ones, there is a special offer. A discount of -2, -20% for the whole family, and a generous -50% on document processing for a child. To make sure the process doesn't hit your wallet, there is a comfortable 3-stage payment plan, and the first installment is only 300 zlotys. The third point is speeding up your delayed residence card process. If your case has been hopelessly stuck in the office for many months, or for some even years, the legal department of the directory will thoroughly analyze the materials and prepare well-founded complaints. That is, even with legal methods, this is important. It will force the bureaucratic system to move forward. Friends, I remind you that legal status is your basic security abroad, including in sunny Poland. Stability and confidence in the future. Don't put things off for too long. So, the links are in the description. Write to the project manager and be sure to mention my promo code. Get all your documents done affordably, correctly, and with professional help. So, We still have news ahead, so watch the video until the end, and whoever watches until the end is awesome. I'll even show you what's happening outside our window. What else caught my attention? Friends, on June 16, the well-known Polish right-wing activist and leader of the Movement for the Defense of Borders organization, Robert Bąkiewicz, a great Polish patriot, decided to hold a powerful patriotic event right under the noses of the German authorities. Comrade Bąkiewicz, Citizen Bąkiewicz, along with his friends and colleagues in this risky business, arrived in Berlin at the memorial to Polish victims of World War II. His visit is monumental. They're focused on great deeds, not trivial matters. After all, he is a visionary. A large wooden cross needs to be installed there, along with informational plaques about German war crimes. The Germans, to put it mildly, were stunned by such a scale of historical justice. They were shocked. Были ошарашены. Through a translator, the police politely explained to the arrivals that such mass events, guys, we don't know how it is in Poland for you, but here, if you want to install any small architectural forms like crosses, you actually need to get approval from the local authorities a week in advance. They just showed up and did whatever they wanted. Well, they said you can walk around like do single-person pickets, go take a walk in the park, but of course the Polish Patriots weren't looking for any compromises. The group unfolded their banners, started singing the famous song Rota, and charged the lawn carrying the cross. The German law enforcement officers didn't stand on ceremony. They used law enforcement tools and elements of force, let's put it that way. 6 activists, including Bąkiewicz himself, were forced to the ground, handcuffed, and taken away to the appropriate place. Bąkiewicz himself, of course, managed to complain on social media about the terrible beatings by German bandits. What is this all about? I need the Polish ambassador, because how long will this lawlessness continue? However, after drawing up reports for disobedience and holding an illegal rally, all the participants were released. They were lucky. Ukrainians would have been deported. Midpolski is now frowning, the consul is clarifying the details, and of course the online community is discussing this Berlin cosplay. Well, let's see how it ends. So basically, guys, when a dog has nothing to do you know what a dog does? If you know, write it in the comments. Alright, next we have more. Secret centers in Zielona Góra. So Polish internet is once again exploding with a mega sensation. Devious management? They sold all of Poland, so what do you think they're doing now? Secretly, they're building a giant secret camp for illegal migrants in the glorious city of Zielona Góra. Panic among the local residents, of course, has risen greatly. Damn, the ground here is already fertile for all of this. The Anadazan department of the Polish Border Service quickly released an official statement that, in plain language, is very simple. Citizens, can you even read? It's written here in plain Polish. All this grand investment, of course, is at your expense, and the rumors started because of an ordinary and absolutely mundane relocation of the agency. The border outpost, Zielona Góra Babymost, simply outgrew its old pants. They're cramped in the old building on Casimir the Great Street. Casimir is a cyclist. As a result, personnel's operational capabilities and service conditions are suffering. That's why the agency is officially building itself a new modern headquarters on Jędrzejowska Street. Exclusively work offices, a duty room, an armory, garages for service vehicles. The mayor's office of Zielona Góra has fully confirmed this fact. This land is designated only for the border guard's administrative building. No accommodation centers will be built there. Of course, no Afro-Poles will be kept there on this wonderful Polish social welfare at your expense. That never happened and was never planned. Who benefits from this and who's spreading it? Let's think logically. Who is profiting from these kinds of rumors? Well, of course, it's political hype, because for local right-wing populists, the topic of migration is pure gold. Why bother racking your brains or coming up with some economic programs when you can just shout loudly, "Help! The authorities are bringing us Afro-Ukrainians and Afro-Poles. They will live here by the thousands on our social benefits, and that's it. And that's the whole political program. And of course, the frightened average person runs to vote for the saviors. There are already more than 20 like that. And those politicians get themselves a nice seat in the same, solid salaries, and so on. Pure business." Well, yeah, of course, the media is also warming their hands a bit here because, like, the border guards are moving to a new office. My God, who cares about that? But clickbait, like secret migrant camp in Poland, guarantees millions of views. By the way, I haven't even had 100,000 in a long time. Yeah, anyway, also right. And let's not forget about the information war. Because stirring up public unrest inside a neighboring country by creating a point of strong social tension out of nowhere is an absolute classic of geopolitical confrontation. The more citizens terrorize each other with imagined horrors and completely distrust official institutions, the weaker and more vulnerable the entire state system will be as a whole. In short, we have a classic example of how a planned expansion of a security agency's infrastructure, with a simple keystroke or a wave of the hand, turns into a bogeyman to fuel mass panic. So friends, subscribe to the channel, keep your critical thinking, and don't fall for cheap propaganda. So what else caught my attention? Warsaw. More Patriots. A showdown in the center of Warsaw. In short, spoiler, how a bachelor party immediately turned into criminal cases. Right in the center of Warsaw, in the area of Komielna Street, which is quite a busy district, it's a classic domestic and extremely stupid story, just, again, spoiler, with a brutal fistfight. 3 local residents, and I think no one can doubt their patriotism, were pretty drunk. Later, medical tests showed their blood alcohol was between 1 and 2 promille. So these 3 patriots were having a lively and grand bachelor party. God, well done, thumbs up. But then the battle of the sexes got involved. A citizen of Algeria, 41 years old, was relaxing in one of the nearby establishments. He went outside and then he saw a girl standing there. He thought, why not start a polite conversation? Why not? According to the investigation materials, the lady had already caught the eye of one of the Polish guys celebrating with his group. Of course, wounded male ego comes into play, like, what are you doing? How dare you? That, combined with plenty of alcohol fumes, naturally led to a sad and predictable outcome. A minor verbal misunderstanding instantly escalated into a brutal beating. The injured Algerian, with severe head injuries and unconscious, was quickly taken away by an ambulance. And the Capitol Police recognized the heroes, found them guilty, yes, and detained them just a few minutes later on Jerusalem alleys. So, what do we have in the end? 3 Polish citizens have been detained, 45, 39, and 31 years old young guys. Citizens, which is typical for law enforcement. In general, these are old, well-known, and distinguished characters. Previously, they had already been repeatedly held accountable for various crimes against property and health. The prosecutor's office didn't joke around in this case. The charges were brought under serious articles: participation in a fight, intentional infliction of harm to health. Moreover, since the beating took place in a public place, it was also accompanied by all sorts of aggressive behavior and inappropriate language in front of everyone. The investigation also classified this as an act of hooliganism. That's it. And this already falls under the local criminal code, which automatically makes the final sentence much more severe. In short, these troublemakers are under police supervision and are forbidden from contacting each other. And with the Algerian victim. The wedding of one of the suspects apparently is being postponed a little, or maybe not. Yeah, well, that's the situation in Poland, folks. Of course, I wish Poland well. I love this wonderful country with all my heart. So, but as you can see, what's happening there now, well, honestly, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier, as they say. In short, my advice to everyone is to use your head, control your emotions, and not look for trouble. What? And yes, friends, dear Ukrainians, don't think that I'm trying to stir things up or scare you. Just be selective about who you associate with, filter what you say, because, well, you need to think, yes, use your head. Because on the one hand, damn, so what? I speak Russian, you know, with my mom on the phone, or in Ukrainian. I speak Ukrainian, so what? Yeah, you might think that, but some local patriot standing behind you with a brick won't think that way, so just be careful, that's all. That's all, okay. And friends, that's the weather we're having. That's the kind of sunny weather we have. They're forecasting 28 today, so I guess we should probably go to the beach. Thank you very much for your attention. Please write the city where you're watching from. It's important. Dennis watched from Krakow, watched from Warsaw. Maybe you're watching from Kosenza. There's a city like that. Or from Turin. That's all for now. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you next time. Let me remind you. Migrants Guide. The link is in the description. Write your city in the chat. It's important. I'm repeating myself, aren't I? I guess I'm still waking up. That's all. See you next time.